Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We are back out here this morning on porch time. Hope y'all have had a blessed week so far, the beginning of a week. I got a light blaring in my eyes here, guys, because it's still almost dark. Sitting out here trying to do this, and on one side of my face I kind of look like ebony and ivory, you know. But it is what it is. And I want to talk to you this morning about some things that our kids may never experience, because I've noticed in a lot of the comments, not only on Porch Time, but some of our videos we've been doing here at Deep South Homestead and on All God's Children, my other channel, people are talking a lot about their children and, you know, what can we do about some of the things that our children may face in the future. Well, I want to take today on Porch Time, and I want to talk about some of the things our children may never experience. I know last Porch Time, the last couple that I've done, had several people send me messages and say, Danny, I really wish you could continue on the subject of talking about the way things used to be and everything, and about older times and how things were different, and because we miss those things, and you know, you can only say so much about the past, you know. But let's stop and think about some things that our kids may never experience. Now, one thing in particular that I think about is running and playing in a fresh plowed field. You know, because when we were kids, growing up, my dad would plow the fields, and you know, in the spring, and he'd get them ready for to plant, and we just loved running in the fresh dirt with our shoes off, and you know, feeling that, and it was just the smell, you know, the aroma of fresh plowed dirt. But you notice when that feel between your toes, the dirt and everything, how everything is just, it's just different, you know, and there's a different mindset in kids today. Back then, we played outside all the time. Mama would put us out of the house, and she would shut the door, and she said, don't come back in. And as kids, we were not allowed to come back in the house for nothing. I mean, if you went to the bathroom, you went to the bathroom outside. You might holler and want something to drink, and Mama might bring you something outside to drink every so often, or tell you to get a drink out of the water hose or whatever. But as kids, we were made to play outside. And because of that, our brains developed differently than kids' brains develop differently today, because we had to create things. We built forts, we played in the dirt, we made our own toys out of wood and sticks and stuff like that. We played cowboys and Indians. I mean, we did all kinds of things, and we played with our Tonka trucks in the dirt, and you know, we built roads, and our minds were creative in what we were doing. We would try to build paths, and we'd go around. Back then, you know, we go around in the neighborhood, because where I lived at did become a neighborhood, and we would go around, and we had paths that we would walk around through, and we rode bicycles around through paths, because it was okay, you know. People weren't trying to snatch you up and you know, we weren't abusive to you, and you know, tried all kind of ungodly things with you and all that. Guys, I'm afraid today all our kids do is sit with, you know, these things, sit here and do this here. All they want to do is they got an iPad, or they got a tablet, or they got a phone, or they can't lay down some sort of electronics. And guys, a lot of it is our fault as parents, because I think I can honestly say, going back remembering, now I hope I don't make a mistake on this, because my daughter watches, and I don't think I ever bought my kids any of the electronic things. I don't think I ever bought them Nintendos or Wii's or anything like that whenever they were coming up. I don't think I ever bought them any of that stuff, because I didn't want them to have that. I didn't buy them cell phones and all this kind of stuff. To my recollection, I didn't do it. But the bottom line is, my kids still followed electronics, and I'm not sure that keeping all this stuff away from the kids is going to stop them from actually getting involved in a lot of electronics, I guess is my point. Because kids are going to go the way of the world, it seems like. We as parents can do our best to navigate away from a lot of this stuff. But the end result is we've got a whole generation of kids now. I've done some research on this, and this really scares me. I've done a little bit of a research on how if war was to break out, how many American kids, young teenagers, let's say, young adults even, it even went into young adults, would be able to fight. Guys, let me tell you something. Statistics I found said 75% of American teenagers and young adults can't run any distance. They have no stamina as far as being able to hold out doing anything. If they had to carry any kind of a load, they could not. So if wartime broke out, the youth in America could not carry the battle like they could back during, you go back and you study history back during Civil War days. I mean, Lord, they had kids beating the drums, staying up with the wars that was going on. They had, I can remember my grandparents talking about how they lied to get into the battle, to get into to service. I was 16 years old, one of them said I was 15, told them I was 18. And, trying to get in and just to be able to fight for their country. And today, the statistics are showing 75% of them don't even have the stamina it takes to even run anymore. All they do is sit on couches and eat potato chips and Cheetos and stuff like that and watch movies all day. Guys, this is sad that our country has come to this. Some things our children will never be able to experience. A lot of it is our fault as parents because we let our kids do these things. Our kids whine and complain if they don't get to do what everybody else is doing electronically, and as parents, we just give in. And it's our fault. We can't blame the kid. And sad to say, many of us use electronics as babysitting tools. And that's just wrong. We put our kids in like traveling. Oh my gosh, this is the one that gets me. We go to take a trip somewhere, and our kids has got to be entertained while we take a trip. They can't be disciplined enough to just sit down and shut up. They got to have a movie going. They got to have something in their hands to watch. That is just wrong. When I was a kid, you sit back there in that seat. When your mom and daddy was driving somewhere, you better not open your mouth. If you did, my mama would reach around with a switch and pop you with that thing. You learned. You better just shut up and sit still. Now, my dad was a different kind of man. My dad would tell us a lot of times on Friday afternoons when he got home from work, or maybe a Saturday, or sometimes even a Sunday, he'd say, kids, we're going to run up to we have a little joint here in town. They call it a Frosty Mug in our town. He'd say, we're going to run up there and get some ice cream. And we'd all be excited, and we'd jump in the vehicle, and it was only like a 4-mile ride. And I can remember many times, we'd start up the road, my daddy said, now sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear no noise in that back seat back there. And there was 4 of us kids. And we didn't pay any attention to Daddy. We were so excited. Daddy'd say, that's it. He'd turn around and go back home. Get out of the car. We ain't going to get nothing. You couldn't behave. We didn't get nothing. And when you do that several times, you finally learn, if I'm going to get any ice cream, I better sit my butt down and shut up. Because my daddy only told you something once. There's been lots of times we'd get all the way within, you could see the place, and us kids be cutting up, and he'd say, that's it. And he'd turn around and drive all the way back home. He'd say, none of us get nothing because y'all can't behave. That's the lessons we learned growing up. Our parents had rules. and they stuck to them. And today, if our kids are like, Mama, I want this, or I want something to drink, or I want that, we give in and we destroy our kids and we don't even realize it. And I guess one of the ones that really irritates me more than anything about what our kids do today that is probably one of the most unruly things I think that there is talking while adults talk. And I see this with parents everywhere. First of all, the kids are always in the room with you. And when I grew up, you didn't dare stay in a room with adults. And if you did, you better doggone sure not open your mouth. But now kids are all up under the parents' feet. They're all around them. They're constantly talking while the parents is talking. And the parents can't hear each other talking back and forth because the kids are all talking. And while the parents are talking to one another, the kids are pulling on them, Mama, Mama, or Daddy, Daddy. And then they tell like, well, wait a minute, honey. And yes, you can do this. Or, rather than telling them, get outside. Set rules. See, kids need boundaries. That's why kids, we wonder what's wrong with them, and it's our fault as parents a lot of times because we don't set boundaries with our children. We sit back and we cater to their every needs, and I want to say this. I think it was President Bush that brought in, and I don't remember which one of them it was. I don't remember if it was the young one or the older one that brought in no kids left behind. Children first and all this kind of stuff. That seemed to be the demise of our country at that time. Now granted, don't get me wrong, I love my kids and I raised my kids great. I mean, one of my kids is an architect, the other's a realtor, and they're great kids. They're very successful kids. They got great families. But I don't think as adults, I'm trying to find the right words here because I don't want to, some of y'all are probably already pissed off and really I guess I don't care, but we as adults a lot of times destroy our kids and don't even realize we're destroying them because we cater to their every need. We never allow them to develop social skills. We never allow them to know what it is to have manners. Used to growing up, we had manners. You were taught manners, and you were taught proper etiquette. You were taught how to sit at a table. You were taught posture. You were taught all these things as kids growing up. You were taught when you sit down to eat at someone's house, you never complain about the food. You just eat what's on your plate. You clean it up. You don't leave anything left. And today I've heard I hear kids sit down at the table, I don't like this. I don't want any of them things. I don't like green beans or whatever. And the parents is like, well, sweetheart, what would you like for me to fix for you? And they cater to their every need. And guys, that kid should have to eat whatever's put in front of them. I know I did. And as a result, I learned to like a lot of things I didn't think I liked. Didn't hurt me one bit in the world. When the reason some of our kids will never experience the things that we experienced is because they didn't get the raising that we got. And as a result, if we've been soft in a lot of areas, what's happened is a lot of the things that we've done as kids no longer exist because technology has come in, because we've told ourselves that technology is going to really make life easy for us and it's going to really benefit us. And because we've brought so much technology into our homes for entertainment purposes, because we've always felt that there needed to be some sort of entertainment with children or they'll grow up social dyslexic or whatever, there's nothing further from the truth. When you put entertainment in front of kids constantly, what happens is there is no development whatsoever that takes place. Either socially, psychologically, all these areas, there's no sorts of development that takes place in that kid's mind because they're never allowed to develop any type of skills on their own. And all they know is to push a button. And that, my friend, is tragic. And I can honestly say to this day we don't turn the TV on in my house. Wanda and I think in the last, oh gosh, maybe in the last year, I doubt our TV's been turned on 10 times maybe. And that's only because there was some kind of special on that we wanted to check out and see right quick. Or maybe the weather, local weather or something. The weather was getting bad, we turned it on for that. But I can't really, we don't watch movies. That's another downfall, is people who sit around and watch movies all the time. That's a waste of your time. That's a waste of your mental ability to just sit and watch movies. You could be you could be going on YouTube like what we are right now. You could go on YouTube. You could be watching something educational rather than watching, you know, some sort of action movie or something like that. You know, if we do watch anything, whether Wanda and I, it's mainly probably going to be on YouTube. And it's probably going to try to be something educational, because we believe in, even at our age, in increasing our knowledge in certain fields that we think we may need should SHTF happen. You know, we do research, which we feel like is not wasted time. It's educating us about things. As we grow our homestead here, we do research on our cows, we do research on turkeys, we do research on chickens, and you know, rabbits and all these kind of different things, farming and stuff like that, different techniques, different methods to do things, looking for those little nuggets out there that helps us to become a better person at what we do, so that if SHTF happens, we can survive. And the problem's going to be, guys, if something happens, I guess this is the best way for me to put it. If something happens to you as a parent, have you done a good enough job with your child that the world does not suck them up and pull them into the system that's coming in this country? Now, I know a lot of y'all, I don't usually get real religious on porch time or anything like that, because I have all God's children for that. But I do stop and think about a lot of times end time days, or the end of an age, let me say it, and where will our kids be at the end of this age? Because the age that we grew up in has since gone away. We are now into an age, in the last, I think it's been the last couple of years, we've moved into the age of AI, of artificial intelligence, which means we're coming into a new age. The previous age has dissipated now. Used to, technology doubled every year. Then it was every 6 months it doubled. Then it was every quarter it doubled. Then it was every month it doubled. Then it was every week it doubled. Now it doubles every few days. And that's how rapidly technology and artificial intelligence is actually coming about, which tells me that the end of the days that's spoken of in Revelations in our Bibles is very close to being here. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Let me say that. It means it's the end of an age. It's the end of life as we would know it. Let me put it that way. Because I don't come on here to preach on this particular channel that I do here. But there are those of you that watch that like this kind of thing, and there will be those comments made today, and I know it, that like, I was enjoying it up until you did the part about the Bible. And that's okay, guys, but I take the good with the bad, all of it. But I have to bring it out to make people understand we're heading into an age where our children will not experience the things that we experienced. Even TV programs. That's one of the reasons we don't turn TV on anymore, because TV programs like Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, Andy Griffith, Leave It to Beaver, you know, all these kind of things, The Little Rascals, I could go on and on. These kind of programs don't exist anymore. These were good, clean programs, had some humor in them. They weren't necessarily, I guess, that educational, but they were the typical country families that that existed. Now we began to see the demise in the fall when we had things like the Brady Bunch came in, two divorced families coming together to create one family. We had things like Three's Company with John Ritter came in, guys and girls living together. All these kind of things. When we saw all these things kind of start happening in our country, we began to be molded by the media at that time, and those kind of things are so subtle that we don't even realize what's happening until it's already happened. And now it's just so much. It's so far out there now that I don't even want to watch anything anymore, because nothing really appeals to me. Everything is so artificially created that it's not even real anymore. Technically speaking, what you're seeing on this video here is not really real. If you understood anything about computers, you would know it's all ones and zeros. It's digital. It's all up. It's really not real. You can't really tangibly lay your hands on anything. It's technology. And all technology is not bad, because it can be used for the good of mankind if it's used properly. It's just that we as parents have to make sure that our kids know and understand the difference between good things and bad things in life. And that technology doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It can be a good thing if it's used in a good way. If it's used for educational purposes, then it's a great thing. But if it's used just to sit in front of a couch and you're just sitting there and you got this deer in the headlight look like that, and you just watch a movie for hours on end and you don't move, and you keep sticking Cheetos in your mouth, and you're drinking a soda pop, and you're destroying your kidneys and you're destroying your body with all these things coming in, and your eyes are all bug out because you're sitting here looking at a screen for hours on end, then we come to realize that, then it's harmful. The kid has not used any muscles in his body physically. When we went to school, we had physical education, PE. Kids were required to get out. You had to run. You had to do certain things. And now everybody's like, well, our kids can't get out and do that. Our kids have all these physical issues. Well, guys, a lot of times as parents, that's our fault. And granted, vaccines has played a lot of part in a lot of this. There's a lot of things. Chemicals it's put in foods now. It's causing a lot of ADHD in kids. I have them in my family. Not knocking anything. I'm not talking down or anything like that. I'm just saying that a lot of the preservatives and the food colorings and all that's put in our foods are playing a part in our children's lives. And we as parents, because of our lackadaisical attitudes and the fact that we say, oh, but we can't do any better. We have to work to pay for our mortgage, and we have to work to pay for this and pay for that. We've got 2 cars, we have insurance, we have a house note, we have this and that and all. And guys, it's all about choices. We have to make choices for our kids as to how we want them to turn out in life. And I spoke with a person here a while back who had a kid who had ADHD, climbing all over the walls everywhere. And someone talked to him and told him, says, if you take the red number, the color numbers out, the red number 40 or whatever it is, yellow number 10 or whatever, blue number 4, if you take all these things out of that kid's life and the foods that he's eating, that kid would be okay. So the parent actually took the advice, and they were speaking to me and told me, said, Danny, they were eating things like Fruit Loops for breakfast and stuff like that. They took all that away from them and just got them good plain bran cereal to eat, and took all the other types of food colorings and food dyes. Anything they ate and they saw these things in them, they took it away. Within 1 week, the child was well behaved. The child was sitting down in his right mind all the time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Very cooperative. And they said, oh my God, I did not realize I was doing that to my child. And that's just, guys, that's just what I'm talking about. Just those things that society wants our children. And we as parents have to make sure that we step up to the plate and we step in for our kids, on our kids' behalf, because they don't know. All they know is whatever they eat is what they eat. I mean, it's what mom and dad put in front of them. And us as parents, it's our responsibility to be vigilant enough that when we go to the store, if we buy our food, which probably 95% of the people in this world do buy their food, that we understand that, hey, we've got to be a little bit more responsible about what we do if we care for our children and how they turn out and how their well-being is going to be. We need to get our kids out. If it's nothing more than get a few pots. Let our kids help us plant some seeds in them. Let them see something grow. You never know what that might spark in that kid's mind. You may create the next child that goes on to be some great farmer or some great person who learns about plants and creates tons of videos on YouTube for people to watch. You don't know the love that that child may have for something like that unless you give them the opportunity. And you don't have to necessarily have land. That's like I'm talking about. Give them a pot. Let them plant some seeds with you. Take them out in the dirt in a flower bed, or if you live in apartments, pots in apartments, these little grow towers and stuff like that, you can sit on your balconies. Let those kids help you with that. Let them see the fruits of their labor. And when they see those things, they'll realize, hey, food don't just come from a grocery store. It actually grows in the ground. And it needs proper care, just like a child, in order to mature properly and to be productive. And kids, once they understand that, lots of them fall in love with gardening. And I think that's one of the things that's happened in our country, is these things have been taken from our kids because we as parents stay too busy running and thinking that we're doing them a justice by taking them to a sports game or to dance or gymnastics, because I was guilty. I did that with mine. And I'm preaching to myself just as well. I made those same mistakes. And if my daughter is on here today and she makes a comment, she will tell you that gymnastics destroyed her body. She's older now, and she has physical issues that was brought on by going to gymnastics. And she wishes that I would have never done that. She did the dance and the gymnastics and all that stuff, and it has left her now. And she's got ailments that she flexed, I guess you would say, some parts that shouldn't have been flexed maybe, and she done damage to joints and damage to these things because they were hyperextended and stuff like that. And I have to say, yeah, I made some mistakes. And as parents, we have to admit that we make mistakes. It's not the end of the world, but what we need to do is learn from those mistakes and correct them. So take your kids out. As the old expression goes, take them hunting, take them fishing, take them to the garden. Let them do things. Teach them how to plant, teach them how to grow, teach them how to hunt, teach them how to fish. They'll grow up to be a great citizen. Teach them how to live. Teach them how to learn above all else. And they'll grow up to be great kids, and they'll get to be able to experience things that they would have never been able to experience. So I hope you've enjoyed Porch Time today. Got to get to work out here, guys. It's getting hot. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.
And don't forget, guys, to check out our t-shirts in the link below. Our slogan is Deep South Homestead, where people gather and leave as friends. You know that whether it's here on YouTube, in the comments below our videos, whether it's on the live stream chats, whether it is on Facebook at the Deep South Homestead Gathering Place, or here in our home. When people gather, they leave as friends. So check out our t-shirts. They come in regular t-shirts, they come in the women's slouchy tanks, and we also have children's available this time. So when you gather at Deep South, you leave as friends. Thank you, guys.